probably didn't have it wide enough. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. This will be a recording of the regular meeting of the 5th District, Georgia State Nurses Association.
Even though our secretary's not here yet, I think we'll get started. I've been told that some of you have a 6 o'clock meeting, and we want you to hear our speaker this afternoon, so we'll move along. I'm so happy to welcome so many to this, our first meeting of the new year, 1963. And at this time, I'd like to wish for you all the good things that you would like to have at 63, with a few challenges along to make life interesting. At this time, I'll ask Ms. Hammond, our chaplain, to offer the opening prayer. Shall we stand? Our Father, the Ancient of Days, in the solemnity of this portion of this meeting, and at this period of our lives, make each of us conscious with a challenge for this year, for this profession, for the society in which we're privileged to serve. Thou dost know our goals and our hopes and our aims. We would that thou would help us place the emphasis on the things that are worthwhile and lasting. Bless our efforts for a cause that is good, a cause that is lasting. Bless our severed ways and opportunities that we may make them possible for a cause that's good. Direct our course in this particular meeting. We appreciate the opportunities that are ours. Help us to avail them for our cause and for those that we serve. Our prayer is limited, our vocabulary is inadequate, and we speak to one that is so magnificent and that is so meaningful in our daily lives. So we make it because thou hast invited us to come into thy presence, to present to thee our petitions, those that are known and those that are unknown. We do because we honor thee and we respect thee for thy greatness to us and to ours. In the name of Christ. Amen. The minutes that we need your approval on at this time were circulated in the meter. I hope each of you had time to read them. Do I hear a motion that we accept these minutes as circulated? Would you raise your hand? We didn't get to you as well. Who's that? Second motion. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Motion is carried. We have some communications that Ms. Atkins will read to you at this time.
We have a card from the family of Elliot Joseph Garber, gratefully acknowledging your kindness and sympathy. They are our auditors, and they've had 2 deaths within the past year. One of them, I remember being in parish clean last June. Then we have also one, this one, great regret. Mr. James Enoch Jackson, the family, to acknowledge with grateful appreciation your kind expressions of sympathy. As most of you know, for the past 20 and 25 years, Mr. Jackson has been our counselor. He's been parliamentarian, and he's a person that we feel is going to be greatly missed. Then we have a letter from Mrs. Judith Whitaker from the American Nurses Association, addressed to our office. The many courtesies and warm hospitality extended to me during my recent visit to Atlanta will long be remembered. You were such a generous hostess. I'm sure Miss Woody Executive Director of the American Nurses Association.
Thank you, Karen. I believe we'll have a report of the treasurer at this time. The secretary, the treasurer is not here. I asked Ms. Atkins if she will read it for Ms. Atwater.
I'll give you the report of the 5th District first. Our report is with the auditor, so I'm glad that they're getting that early, but I have a copy here. He came by today and yesterday. And this is a good report because we even have money left in the bank after we fixed up the office and got our new equipment. December, we brought forward from November $2,437.84. And we received dues for 1962, $255, and $3,775 for 1963 members. American Journal of Nursing, $12, making the total receipts $3,842. And our disbursements were $4,128.08. Of that group, $3,269 were dues for 1963, which went to the Georgia State Nurses Association. Had one check returned not cashed from the general duty section, and that left us clear in the bank $2,175.76. We have checks out totaling $3,311.89. The check to the state for the dues was not cashed, and that agrees with the bank statement of $5,487.65, with obligations to the government of taxes $356.96, and to the state of Georgia $5.76. Now, I made up my resume for the auditor and getting ready, and I was very happy we came out to the penny. So when it's published, though, you will find a little difference there in the total amount. They take what we had last year and add to it, and what we collected in November and December. This for 1963 will appear the following year. I thought I might explain that to you. But our total receipt for 1962 dues were $32,253.75. 1963, we collected $6,045. That was 185 members renewing, and the year before we only had 35, so we had an increase of 150 members before Christmas. AJN's 280 and miscellaneous 411. Most of that 411.76. Most of that, of course, being for the ads in the directory. Total receipts $38,990.51, and we brought forward from 1961 $868.93. Then we have the two office section check returned and the general duty section check returned not cashed, which made a total of $36.20. And again, it leaves us in the bank $2,175.76, with the checks out $3,311.89, agreeing with the bank statement on January the 1st of $5,487.66. shortest board meeting that it's been my pleasure to attend within the last 3 years. We only had 2 items of business. We had, one of them, of course, been very sad that we had to appoint someone to replace Mr. Jackson. And the motion was carried that we contact Mr. McClellan, the counselor that will be used for the Georgia State Nurses Association. Mr. Ralph McClellan, he is also a member of the Georgia Senate, or Representative 1 anyhow. He is very influential, and we feel that he's going to be a very good person for this district to have. And the motion was carried that we asked him to be our counselor. And then, of course, we needed someone for committee, the insurance committee, and Ms. Boggs consented to do that. So we had a very quiet meeting January, starting the year off nicely. And for the executive secretary's report, I'm going to make mine just as brief as I can, but I will tell you that last year we had 1,207 members with 9 associates. This year we already had, when I left the office today, we had 315 that had renewed, and then we got one just before I left, making a total of 316, which is more than 1/4 of the total membership of last year. Now, I have 143 cards that have been received in, and they are addressed, and we hope to get them in the mail in the morning of the first group that were reported before Christmas. And we've also issued our first bulletin of the 253 members that were reported as of Monday. Since then, we've gotten 36 one day, 14 another. In other words, we've consistently since that time, we've added to our little list. And we feel that we have quite a game there with 5 applications to be approved. You tabulated cards, the response has been wonderful. We've only had one mistake. One of the girls sent us the total amount of her registration dues, and it is going to be fine. We're saving thousands of hours because it can be set up for so many things, be most useful. I told you about the auditor having the books, and I have just one more little good piece of news, and I think you ought to see it. This is on our new photocopier. It's going to be very valuable to the office, also saving much time in processing membership and credentials and all. This is a beautiful picture of a check from St. Joseph's Infirmary, $1,332.50, taking care of the ANA dues, full-time graduates on benefit programs of 41 members, paid by the hospital staff of St. Joseph's. We think that's a wonderful thing to do, and we also know that Ponce de Leon Infirmary, Dr. Eastman gave as a Christmas present the members of his staff
talk to us on one of these areas, and that is the role of the nurse in a medical research program. We are all aware, I'm sure, of the increased emphasis and need for research about what we're doing. Our speaker today is Mrs. Jacqueline Tiller, who many of you will know. She is a native Georgian, the mother of 2 children, a graduate of Crawford Long School of Nursing, and then later received a baccalaureate degree from Emory University, and later a master's of nursing degree from Emory University. She has had work experience in a medical research unit, and she presently is a head nurse at Emory University Hospital. I would say before Mrs. Tiller comes up that I think she would want me to say that she comes to you not as an expert, but as someone to share some experiences that she's had. I believe it's all right to say also that she will be happy to, at any point, interrupt if this is not clear, and if later after she's finished you have some questions, she'll be happy to have a go at it. With that, I give you Mrs. Jacqueline Tiller.
Well, it certainly is a pleasure to be here, and as Ms. Rice just said, I claim to be no authority in any sense of the word on the nurse's role in a medical research program. But this research is something which most of us we're curious about it, if not keenly interested in it. And I certainly qualify as being one who is keenly interested in it. Before we can really talk about nursing responsibility in a medical research program, I feel that we need to look at just what we mean by a medical research program. Well, that program which I am familiar with is one of several which has been established throughout the United States by a grant from the U.S. Public Health Service. There are 2 in the state of Georgia, to my knowledge there are 2, one at Emory and more recently one at the Medical College of Georgia. There were several reasons why these clinical research facilities were established throughout the United States. Among them being, it was felt that this would give more investigators an opportunity to study patients in clinically controlled areas, clinically controlled settings. And also it would enable the patient to remain closer at home. And this certainly can't be overemphasized. This was one way of securing more patients for study. The clinical research facility differs from a general nursing unit. I think as Ms. Rice said at the outset, only perhaps in degree that a great deal of difference in tests and this sort of thing, but the nurse's role, a great deal of it, the difference is in degree. You may say that the role of the nurse in a medical research program, she really serves as an investigator for a group of investigators. And there are some broad, I have jotted down some broad areas of nursing responsibility which I would like to go into each one of them more thoroughly as we go along. The broad areas as we view them is in patient and family teaching, observation and recording, administration of medicines and treatments, support of the physician, of course, in his study, the dietary and laboratory responsibilities, and in collection of all specimens. To give you a little idea of, well, I considered several ways of presenting this to give you a better go into a room and some of us may see only maybe what we're looking for, just one thing. There are others who can go into a room and talk with the patient and observe many more things. And therefore we need to be ever aware that we need to use all our senses in observing. The sense of sight, smell, touch, and that which we sense. And once we've made these observations, they really are no good to anyone without passing them on. Therefore, as soon after these observations are made, if they can be recorded, then this gives the clinical investigator perhaps meaningful information. To us at the moment, it may not mean much, but to him, it could mean a great deal. In recording, we need to be brief but precise. I'm sure that all of you have the idea that in a clinical research area that there's a great many tests going on, things that are quite strange. Well, this is true. And the nurse's role in the test, as I see it, certainly she needs to understand the test, but her first responsibility is to help the patient understand why this test is to be done. And of course, her knowledge of what the test entails enables her to communicate more effectively with the patient. I will not attempt to go into the various types of tests which are done, other than to say there are no tests done on the patients in the clinical research area that would be dangerous for them. And since all the patients are volunteers, they do realize that they will be subjected to some things which may be unpleasant, some things which they may find a little bit difficult to do. But through the nurse understanding what is going on and the purpose for this, role in diets, as I view it, is in helping the patients to eat all of the food which is offered. This is on the calculated weight diets. This is very important that they know exactly what food is consuming, and it's quite difficult sometimes after this patient has been here for 2-3 weeks and he has eaten the same food day in and day out. And as a matter of interest, I'd like to point out here that the patients who are on the calculated weight diets, the food must be purchased from the same lot, the same batch. If it is meat, from the same beef. If it's canned food, from the same lot. And this is so that the content of the food will be as nearly consistent as possible. And we'll take, for example, meat. The portions are cut in advance and frozen for, well, that they believe they will need for the entire length of the study. And this means, too, that the nurse's responsibility is to help family understand why you're getting the same old food day in and day out, and why they can't bring food from home, or why they can't go around to the snack bar and have a cup of coffee. I might mention here as a matter of clarification, if you're wondering how the nurse knows just what's going to go on, and how she's going to plan her teaching the patient, the family, the plan for the study is written up before the patient is admitted, and this is referred to as the protocol. This includes the entire study plan, listing what medications will be given and the specified hours they will be given, what tests are to be done and when they are to be done, what activity is permitted, the length of time the study will entail, and in general, the general instructions for the study. And no changes are made in this without the approval of the investigator himself. Probably one of the most important roles of the nurse, as I see it, in a clinical research program is emotional support to the patient. First, it's usually the case, he has a disease that little is known about, or effective ways of handling has not been found. Take the muscular dystrophy patient. He comes to the clinical research unit as a volunteer. The course, nursing responsibilities and activities are ever changing. We are all aware of this. And one cannot ever say, well, this is what a nurse's responsibility is today. I don't know that we really know what the nurse's responsibility is in any area, be it clinical research, be it in a general nursing unit. My belief is that we are the closest person to the patient, and it is through our efforts and our understanding that we can help to make a study a more successful study. May I stop here and ask if there are any questions?
What type of patients do they usually do this,
Well,
what diseases, for instance?
some of the areas of study with which I'm slightly familiar with, I mentioned the muscular dystrophy patients. Those with cancer, some with Cushing syndrome. We have had some with gout, cirrhosis, congestive heart failure, just to name a few of the ones with which I have come in contact with.
You say that the patient has to volunteer, or can a doctor refer them to go and volunteer?
The doctor can refer them to go and volunteer, I guess I could say.
Do you get another volunteer?
Well, I believe that they get quite a number of volunteers. Now, all those who would like to volunteer may not really be a good prospect for study. Preferably, the patient should not be acutely ill so that he may participate has not been used very much. And certainly you're all the more alert to watch for effects from this drug. But I personally have no hesitation in giving a medication with a number on it. Because this number is stated in the protocol. And if you know that this is the number that is stated in the protocol is accurate, Many of these patients are not acutely ill, and a great deal of nursing care may consist in putting together picture puzzles or going for a walk. And this is a difficult thing for a nurse who has been so indoctrinated that she must be busy doing something. It's difficult for her to see that this is doing something, and this is doing something which is very important. And certainly, in this setting, one can get to know the patient perhaps just a little bit better. He relaxes, he maybe is no longer its patient and nurse, but it's two individuals. Any other questions?
How many patients do you have in this department?
I believe they have a capacity of 16.
Well, it's $35 a day, 16 is not many, is it?
Ms. Carter, it might be interesting, the orientation that was done before the unit actually started operation.
Well, this was certainly quite interesting, and this was an orientation program which was planned for the personnel who would be working within the unit. However, everyone was invited to attend, and it consisted of some very excellent classes in anatomy and physiology, for one thing. It gave us a fairly good picture of what a medical research program was, what each member of the team would be doing. That is, I have again failed to mention the laboratory. The unit does have its separate laboratory and technicians. But what the responsibilities of the laboratory, of the dietary department, the nursing department, and the medical staff. And this, I believe, was a 3 weeks orientation. And I believe that this, as new people new personnel come to the unit, an orientation of a type is certainly carried out.
You mentioned the 16 patients, what staff do you have there?
Well, fairly well, fairly good. I couldn't tell you right offhand how many.
anyone else have information they'd like to, announcements they'd like to make at this time? Ms. Jones, did you want to say something?
The Committee on Careers hasn't met yet for this year, but I think we can tell them that again this year we will be sponsoring Nurse Week, and of course the Nurses of the Year, and the nomination blanks will be out sometime next month. And the governor's proclamation will be coming through. We have already requested it. We feel sure that we will get it. And this is something that is an established fact that will go on from year to year. So I just want to remind the nurses.
Any other announcements? I believe there's a motion to adjourn, is there not?
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. This will be a recording of the executive board meeting on January the 8th, 1963, at St. Joseph's Infirmary Auditorium.
Shall we bow our heads and pray the Lord's Prayer together, please? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Roll call. We have some more people coming in. Garland, Ellen Jones, Miss Ruth Bryant, Elizabeth Dixon, Patsy Atwater, Nancy Sayre, Miss Citra Bowman, Mrs. Manette, here, Sister Incanada, Mrs. Honeycutt, Ms. Copeland, Ms. Hicks, here, Catherine Pope, Crawford Long, here, Gloria Robinson, Educational, Martha Davis, General Duty, here, Occupational Health, Minnie Clark, here, Private Duty, Mrs. Hensley, Public Health, Margaret Armstrong, and Crawford Long, Alumni, Mrs. Estelle Hilton, Emory, Charity Wells, Georgia Baptist Francis Hale, Grady number 1, Bernice Dixon, Grady number 2, Inez Stanley, Piedmont, Mrs. Bond, and St. Joseph's, Dorothy Nix. We have the reading of the minutes of the November 6th meeting. Yes, better have a copy. Regular meeting of the 5th District GSNA Executive Board was held on October the 6th, 1962 at St. Joseph's Infirmary at 7:30 p.m. The meeting was called to order by the chairman, Mrs. Garland. The Lord's Prayer was said in unison.
Roll call by secretary. Present was Ms. Garland, Ms. Dixon, Ms. Etterbaum, Ms. Manette. Sister in Canada, Ms. Ruth Bryce, Mrs. Minnie Clark, Mrs. Robinson, Ms. Davis, Ms. Honeycutt, Ms. Stanley, and Mrs. Hensley. Minutes for the last meeting was a call meeting were read. Motion made to approve the minutes as corrected. Robinson and Honeycutt. Motion carried. Move that the minutes of the annual meeting be approved as circulated. Ms. Bryce and Ms. Manette carried. Report of the treasurer. The monthly report for the 5th District was read by the Secretary, Ms. Dixon. Report of the Nurses Professional Register was read by Ms. Dixon. Motion to accept the treasurer reports and place on file Dixon and Ms. Davis. Motion carried. Executive Secretary Ms. Atkins reported that Ms. Frances Orr had declined the appointment as chairman of the bylaw committee. It was suggested that Ms. Rachel Sanders be asked to serve as chairman. Committee reports membership. Ms. Martha Davis, chairman, gave a written report. Program committee, Ms. Ruth Bryce gave a written report. Registry report read by Ms. Hensley. Recommendation 1, the method of handling of checks and vouchers come before the board for better and quicker returns to the registry, and if necessary, be sent special delivery to avoid payroll being late. Recommendation 2, all personnel at the Nurses Professional Registry be appointed to serve for 1963. It was moved that Ms. Atkins, Ms. Atwater, Mrs. Hicks meet with Mrs. Carlson to work out some solution to expedite clearance of vouchers and checks. Ms. Honeycutt and Ms. Stanley, motion carried. Recommendation 2, it was moved that all nurses employed at the Nurses Professional Register be appointed. Dixon and Davis, motion carried. It was the general feeling of the members of the executive board that it is below the dignity of the registrars and the positions they hold to have to write asking for reappointment to positions. Publications, Ms. Atkins reported sections. General duty, Ms. Davis stated that she needed help to get this section reorganized. EACT section, Mrs. Robinson gave a verbal report. Occupational health, Mrs. Clark gave an oral report. New business and old business. Under old business, motion made to appoint Mrs. Eva Woodard to represent Piedmont Hospital on the Nurses Professional Registry. The resignation of Mrs. Virginia McFarland on the Register Committee was accepted with regrets. Motion made to ask Ms. Ruth Smith to serve instead of Mrs. Woodard on the Committee on Nominations. Ms. Bryce and Ms. Clark, motion carried. Motion made to request Ms. Mary Jones to serve as chairman of the Insurance Committee. Ms. Dixon and Ms. Honeycutt, motion carried. Suggestions made for study committee on function of ANA, on the function of ANA. Ms. Betty Rogers Grady, Ms. Helen Graves, chairman, Ms. Glenda Robinson, Ms. Mary Margaret Williams. Moved to adjourn 9:10 p.m. Committee, Elizabeth Dixon, secretary.
Thank you, Ms. Dixon. Are there any corrections to the minutes?
Open.
You said October, it was November?
November.
November 6th.
November 6th.
That's right.
Well, I got November 6th in one place and got October in the
Look,
other.
Are there any other corrections or additions? Do I hear a motion that we accept the minutes as corrected?
I make the motion to do.
Well, second. Is there discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Contrary, no. The motion is carried. That was, well, thank you. I have some announcements to make. I put these on the board so that you will be sure and get this down in writing so that, we will not come to the May meeting and not have our suggestions for nominees to fill the, offices that will be vacant this year. All section chairmen and alumni presidents are requested to bring before their meeting suggested nominees for these offices. These are to be brought to the executive board in May for approval. I'll give you February and April section meetings to get these names together. Officers in the district and the state seem to be the same, with the exception of the directors. In the state, we elect 2 directors, in the district, 3 directors. We need a chairman for committee on nominations for both groups, and also names for the board of examiners.
Material is ready to go to the districts and will be out this week. Biographical sketches for all of the officers here.
The board will. President, second vice president, treasurer, directors, chairman, committee on nominations, and names for the board of examiners. The chairman of the, committee on nominations will notify alumni presidents and section chairman, but it is requested that all groups have time to present nominations early. Another announcement, from the executive secretary is that she urgently requests that every officer, every, committee chairman submit reports regularly. We will be looking through the, reports that have been submitted today, and we find very few. And it helps to keep the files up to date and know what is going on in the districts and in the alumni. If you will please give her a copy of your minutes of your meeting. Is that all?
Regular meeting for Thursday.
Yes. Yes, the regular meeting will be Thursday, January 10 at 4:30 in this auditorium. We have some communications at this
We
time.
have, I suppose we need to take care of these minutes for the dental. I move that the minutes that you have, and a copy was circulated in the Georgia Nursing Bulletin, be accepted and placed on file.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Contrary, no. This motion is carried.
November the 19th, 1962. From Miss Judith Whitaker, Executive Director. Miss Carolyn Atkins, 1531 Healy Building, Atlanta, Georgia. Dear Miss Atkins, the many courtesies and warm hospitality extended to me during my recent visit in Atlanta will long be remembered. You were such a generous hostess, I am sure that Miss Woody has described our sightseeing trip of Saturday afternoon and my enjoyment of the beautiful memorial room. I called you on Sunday morning and regret that I couldn't tell you personally, but undoubtedly you received the message. The beautiful copy of Leaves of Gold provokes admiration and shall have many moments of pleasure in the years ahead. I look forward to seeing you at various organizational affairs in the future. Cordially, Judith Whitaker, Executive Director. The family of Mr. James E. Jackson acknowledges with grateful appreciation your kind expression of sympathy. The family of Elliot Joseph Garber gratefully acknowledges your kindness and sympathy. He sure has had a lot of trouble, hasn't he?
That's something for the lighter moments there. We thought we shouldn't pass that up. Just came in.
Oh, gracious, you don't want to read all
No,
this.
just tell them about it. They have a trip.
But you tell them, because I haven't even seen it.
You haven't even seen it. Well, it just came in, and I thought I might mention, anybody wants to go to Mardi Gras, the Trailways have arranged a week's tour there, exciting tour, round trip for $79.10, twin beds, and they have a whole schedule on there. Anybody interested in the group of you want to go?
Not on the Greyhound.
Well, this is Trailways.
Trailway. I'm planning to go, but not by Trailway.
Anybody wants to go, let us know. No, it just came in. I thought maybe some of the girls, they were boosting their trip to Europe, so we thought maybe they might take this one first.
You have a report, Secretary. Reporting it out. May we have a report of the treasurer, please?
All except the registry. And with my apologies to the registry, I want to tell you they have faithfully sent them to us. We have a nice new book for them, but in my rush today to get everything to you, including your little appointment books there, I forgot it. Ms. Dixon, you want to read this? The treasury report? You want me to do it? Well, all right, treasury report I'm very happy to read this one because we even came out the end of the year, we still have money in the bank. And this is for December. We brought forward, in November we had cleared in the bank $2,437.84. And we had receipts for $3,842 with the routine disbursements there, including also quite a sum of money to the postmaster because we have postage is one of our big items there. We expended $4,128, $3,269 of that being for dues to the Georgia State Nurses Association. And then we had one section check returned to us for $24, leaving clear in the bank $2,175.76 the 1st of January, with checks out of $3,311.89. Most of that happens to be dues to the Georgia State Nurses Association. And it agrees with the bank statement of $5,487.65, and a total of obligations to the government $356.96, and to the state in taxes $5.76. And while I'm reading that, that's for the district, and the registry is on file. Let me give you the total, just a quick total, and I won't give it to you later. We're ready for the auditors, and we had on hand last year $868.93 we brought forward. And we collected them dues, 1962, $32,253.75, and we've already collected during December, the latter part of November, $6,045 in dues. and from the American Journal of Nursing, 280, and miscellaneous, 411, making a total, receipts in the office of $38,990.51. Now, I might tell you, when your audit report comes out, it won't reach that. They do a little different system. They'll subtract the ones from last year and, the ones from this year and add the ones from last year. In other words, the 1963 dues that came in this year will not be in 1962 audit. Our total, with what we had brought forward, was $868.93, and we dispersed $37,719.88. Then we had two section checks not cashed, one of them $12, the office section $12.20, and the general duty section returned $24, leaving clearing the bank for $2,175.76, which again agrees with the bank statement with the $3,311.89. And we do have the $125 bond that was awarded to us for by Spratman Harrington, which will go into the safe deposit box and the auditors go over. So we feel very good about that financial.
Money in the bank is cash.
Do I hear a motion that this report be placed on file?
This is the last report I'll give you. Thank you, ma'am.
Second. Is there any discussion? This good report?
I might add to that they had $19.40 left over from the party, after all disbursements and so forth. Well, I'm sorry. I'll give it right back to you. I didn't know you were gonna report it. You go in detail.
Are you ready to vote on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. I say no. The motion is carried. May we hear from you again, Karen, your report?
My report, yes, I'm very happy to give you my report again. We had 1,207 members with 9 associates last year. And last year at this time, we had 110 plus 1. We were counting it up a few minutes ago, and you will notice that you have 253 plus 3 that were cleared. We got actually the report, and then after that, we received 36 more. We're like just 2 of having our quarter of our total membership for last year. So we're very proud as far as the renewals have been for the first week in January. The response to the tabulated cards has been excellent. Everyone has returned them. We've had only one error in them so far, and that's working out fine. And I've just told you about the audit report. Now I have one other item that I think is very good, and I have been given permission to show you a picture on this, a photostatic copy of a check. And I want to brag on the machine too, a little bit more too, but most of all I want to tell you about St. Joseph's Infirmary. They sent us this check, membership dues for 41 members of their staff, the graduate nurses, on a benefit program, and it amounted to $1,332.50. We are very happy. That's the precedent. They had 14 last year, and the 41 this year is, and we understand that Postulin Infirmary is following suit, and they called me yesterday that they are giving as a Christmas present membership dues to their staff. Now, I want to show you one more item on this little photocopier, and I'm really through. When I came in from vacation, I had 53 renewals in the post office, and within 1 hour, they were posted. I had pictures of every check, and we will have a picture of every check that comes through the office from now on, of all deposits. This is on the little photocopier. It may be a little crooked because you have to put it down, quickly put your negative, not exposing it, and turn it over so the small items slip a little bit. But we had 2 checks that had to be returned. One of them was for $26.50. She did not use the punch card because she'd moved and didn't receive the statement, and it was in error, $26.50, which was returned, and my little notation to her. And another one wrote it down here to Miss Marie McGivney, Crawford Long, for $3, and says district dues. I think she really meant it for her alumni dues, and perhaps the other one, but that was returned. The little photocopier is going to be a wonderful thing for the office, and we're just very pleased with the way that's working out so far.
Thank you so much, Ms. Atkins. How many did you say we had?
253 plus 3 that have been reported to the state. I got in 36 today from the post office. members for renewals, and we have 5 applications, which,
Very good.
and I got one tonight from Miss Stanley, so that likes just 2 of being your 300.
So that's 298. 298. I think it's real good.
Madam Chairman, I don't know if it's really appropriate, it's not particularly for the minutes, but, you know, we say so much that's not complimentary in this life. I'd just like to, again, commend Ann for the work that she is doing here. I know that this is not automatic, there has to be a cause. I don't think it's automatic, she would not want to think it's automatic, but I do think a lot of the increased membership participation has to be due to her, and I just would like to sort of go on record as letting her know again that we appreciate it.
I hope it takes some.
Because you were right behind me.
I'm sure we all agree, with this. Now can we hear from our standing committees? Ms. Bryce, we'll let you speak again.
Well, we had a party, as you know, in November. There's been no meeting of the program committee since that time. At that time, we had 109 people who were served. This was held at the Academy of Medicine, I'm sure you all know. There were 7 guests. The total amount that we received at $275 each for 104 members and guests, these were the in advance reservations, came to $286. We paid of that $275 for each of these, $240 to Davis Brothers for catering service. And we also had some entertainment expense which we had not anticipated prior to this. The total that we dispersed here was $261.60. That taken from $286 left us $24.40. Included in that $261 figure is a fee for Benny out at the Academy for some of the service he did. And due to a little slip in, a change in management, catering service, the dishes were left at the Academy of Medicine to be washed rather than taken washed there by the caterers as they should have been. So we paid him an additional $5. I think it was perhaps too little even then. But that's why this $5 appears on the report as extra. The surplus amount, the amount that we actually cleared from the annual dinner party, $19.40, and it has, I believe, been received as Ann.
Yes, it has.
We have plans, as you know, our theme being that toward clinical excellence. We have a speaker, Mrs. Jacqueline Tiller, who will talk about some of the newer functions in nursing, at least in relation to one aspect of nursing, and that is the role of the nurse in the medical research program. I think that this will be of interest, and we look forward to hearing her on Thursday, this Thursday here. That's all. Do you have these figures already? They are on record, aren't they?
Yes, I have those, and they were in with the treasurer's report there, and the 1940 has already been deposited, included in the treasurer's report. No, we have one.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bryce. Sounds like we're gonna have some real interesting meetings this year. And I certainly hope that we will all urge our co-workers to attend and come out and hear these speakers. It's a little embarrassing to the program chairman and all of us when we are successful in getting a good speaker and no one comes to take advantage of it. So I think with just a little word around that we can get more people out to our district meetings. Karen, did you give your printing report?
Well, we
Or
had
you it
1,500 meters. I think they gave us 500 extra, so we mailed 1,464. So I'm going to visit the hospital and senior nurses in addition to the doctors and other places. 1,500, and then we got our schedule for the meeting notices, all except the educational section. They want to change that date tomorrow to verify for us, and they will be distributed with the ANA cards. My other report on published, we have to ask for any. We're waiting to do that when we have something very important.
Do we have a report on Constitution and bylaws? Mrs. Langford? Ms. Mace, finance? Ms. Hudson, legislation? Ms. Davis, membership?
Yes, we have not had a meeting, this year because, we haven't had it. We've just received 5 applications for membership into the district, and their references haven't been sent out yet. They've just been received.
Thank you. Ms. Hicks?
We don't have a report.
No report. You're still working on it. Still operating. Public relations, American Journal of Nursing, Ms. Wales.
She doesn't know it, but I got 4 for you today through Ms. Garland and 3 came in earlier, so you left, so, and I'll send you a copy of the report when it goes in.
Report of the sections. Let's see, the section. Ms. Pope, Crawford Law, or administrative?
We do not have any.
No report. Ms. Robinson's not here. Ms. Martha Davis, general duty.
No report.
Mrs. Clark, no, you have a report.
Well, we did have a nice meeting in December at, in the conference room of the Red Cross building, and a very interesting report was given on the convention by Elizabeth Langford, and a lot of the girls had not been able to attend the convention, so they thoroughly enjoyed that. And since there had been an appeal for postage and stationery and stuff for the patients at the state hospital, we used that as our Christmas project, and we contributed to that. And then we had some light refreshments. It was enjoyable.
Thank you. Mr. Hensley, private duty. Public health.
We had a meeting in December. It was in the form of a Christmas tea held jointly with Fifth District League for Nursing. Dr. Fields gave a very beautiful, inspirational after this meeting, and we did have very pretty tea.
Thank you. Our alumni presidents, Mrs. Hill, Ms. Wales.
Meeting in December, we did Constitution bylaws were approved.
Thank you. Mrs. Hayden.
Well, we had a meeting in December, which was, done, and we invited all the staff members, and then we joined, anesthetist of Atlanta, and, enjoyed a talk by Dr. Litton, and he showed slides that he made when he was in Russia, and it was thoroughly enjoyed, and he told us about something about the medical work over there, and showed us different pictures. He didn't show us any of the hospitals though, but, it really was enjoyed by everybody.
Thank you. Mrs. Stanley.
Meeting in December, which we had a Christmas party, fair and get together for the nurses, and we really had more attendance that than we had all the year, 62. And, we gave a donation to the, Alligator Protective Health. We sent out our Christmas bag to the school.
Thank you. Mrs. Bond.
We had ours in December, and as a Christmas party,
St. Joseph, Mrs. Nick. Special committees, do we have a report from Ms. Jones on careers? I think probably these committees are just starting, their programs, what their plans for working this year. We, need to fill, the, chairman, vacancy for a chairman on the committee on insurance. Do any of you have any suggestions? Dirk didn't think she should, work on this committee again this year.
Miss Clark wasn't mentioned for it, it was Ann Tiller, and she declined it, then Marie Jones was put down there.
It was Ann.
And she declined it, called me the day before yesterday, she thought it was the state. And, she suggested Ms. Zerk, so we called her today, but she was already on one committee and felt that someone else should serve.
Is Bob sitting on that committee, the lawyer, Brady, along with that? Is it Lucille Boggs?
We can, certainly ask her. Mrs. Lucille Boggs. Is that B-O-G-G-S? By way of new business tonight, we, need to appoint a parliamentarian. As you know, we lost Mr. Jackson. And, Mr. Ralph McClellan's name has been suggested, and I'd like to ask, Ms. Dixon if she would say something to us about this. There was a referendum vote sent out to the, state executive board for a vote for Mr. McClellan to be, in this position in the state association. And it's certainly helpful to have the same person, in the district. Ms. Dixon, would you like to say something about it, please?
I'm sure that you know that Mr. Ralph McClellan is a very outstanding attorney in Atlanta. His father was judge for many years here, and Mr. McClellan is, has offices in the First National Bank. He's about in his middle 40s, I should think. He's quite active in civic affairs in Atlanta and is a member of legislature, and is known quite well. The board, executive board, has approved Mr. McClellan for the time being, and the meeting is on, the executive board meeting is on the 24th of February, at which time I feel sure that Mr. McClellan will be approved as legal consultant. You may also like to know that Mr. George Hamilton thought it was very fine if Mr. McClellan would help us, that he didn't feel that we could get anyone that was better qualified. And Mr. McClellan is eager to help the nurses. So I haven't talked with him since we have our referendum vote in, but we have over a half of our members who've already returned them. So I'm sure that Mr. McClellan will represent us over the state capitol next week, since legislation opens on the 15th, and we never know when we may have legislation. So he's sitting just right in the right spot right now to be of some help to us.
He's also run for Dr. Spencer McClellan, medical doctor.
Oh,
Then he does want to serve us?
yeah. Well, they serve the district now, but no one has talked to him about the district.
But he already represents us in the from the state level.
That's right.
but I mean, if he knows about it,
Mhm.
we're going to get it. I mean, let's try to get, what do we have to do now?
Well, we would like for you to,
We have to make a motion that we would have the same one that the state has if he accepts that.
Then, do we make the motion then tonight in this meeting, or I make the motion, when no one else will, that we, ask Mr. McClellan to, act as our parliamentarian?
That's a,
is there any discussion?
What did you say his present capacity is politically?
Attorney.
Attorney, he's in the legislature.
I did think that, I
Yeah.
thought he
Okay.
was.
Any other questions, comments? You ready to vote? All in favor then, please say aye. Contrary, no. Thank you, motion's carried. Does anyone have any old business that we should bring up at this time? Any new business? Then I guess we're ready for a motion to adjourn.
that sounds good. I think this is
Yeah, the meeting is over. so
quietest
we can
meeting
still
on
talk.
record.
That thing's still running.
I'm gonna stop it right
All
now.
right.